Działa? Pokchamp! Ole, już wyszedłem. Tak. A to wchodzimy do tego tunelu, gdzie pociąg rozjechał tego dziadka.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two. I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself.
A dlaczego dziadek zginął? I czego on się bał? Czemu się chował w jakimś...
But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse. We made it real.
No i... Czemu on zginął?
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
Czy umarła wraz ze mną? Jezus. Zaczyna strasznie gadać.
But I thought you should know about your family.
Jak zejdziecie sobie poniżej opisu, tam chyba na sam dół, to piszę jaka to gra. To gdzie ja mam iść do wody? Dobra, idę do wody. Nie ma warning. Hello.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Ona jest tam zgubiona jak ja.
I think the people in these stories believed them. For what that's worth.
No ja grałem w Subnautikę. Co jest grane? Halo, czy mnie słyszycie? Posłuchajcie. No, kozacka jest ta gra, fajna, fajna.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
Ja miałem? Normalne. No, nie możesz przeskoczyć przez to po prostu. O co chodzi w gierce? Jesteś dziewczynką, która przychodzi do swojego domu po iluś tam latach i szukasz, jak zginęli twoi członkowie rodziny. Teraz w sumie to nie wiem co.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but
O, cmentarz.
the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one.
Nie. Cmentarz zwierzaku.
3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Nie. O nie, to jest co pieseł. O co? Daisy.
Sven built the house, but it was Edith who designed the
Sven.
cemetery.
Ej lol, to jest każdy... Molly, kotek. Calvin to, bo wyskoczył z tego, Sven, bo zbudował. Edith to... Czemu? Walter, bo nie wiem, w podziemiach sobie mieszkał, a Barbara, bo była gwiazdą.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Chcesz zoomować?
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
A to zaskoczymy. Tam się cofnąć?
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Nie ma gimbusek.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
W ogóle ta bohaterka jest w moim wieku. Chłopcą.
But looking back on it now,
Ja bym się bał chodzić.
if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
A? Gdzie ona jest w ciąży? 17 lat w ciąży.
I never met
17.
Sam, but I think he and my mom have a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
O, no ja też nie.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
A? Dobra, oni tu wszyscy zbyt tworzy na głowę. A kolejna historia. O, ale se selfie zrobił. Dobra.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm?
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Lol. Ow.
Shouldn't we be leaving?
Just want to get a shot of you, Dawn, then we can take off. Not quite.
Jak mam mu zrobić zdjęcie jak... A, dobra.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Ale piękne zdjęcia.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. still freezing though. Aw.
I dlaczego Grzesio został zawieszony? Ja mam jeszcze robić.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Dobra.
Well,
Zdjęcie
still, I
jakieś.
took a picture of you.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
No i nice.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Don, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years.
Grzesio. Tylko czekam aż się odmutuje i zacznie.
Last time, Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph?
Nie mieć.
Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere.
A ładne zdjęcia robię,
I
co?
bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time.
No co jest grane? Jest live? Dobra,
Let's
jest.
check the map.
A nie, bo znicze, bo Grzesio. Myślałem, że live'a nie ma. Dobra, nieważne. To mam jeszcze zdjęcia robić?
You don't need to waste any more film on me, kiddo.
Trzeba dobrą jakością zrobić.
Let's see.
Tu mam. Tego mam, tego mam.
Maybe. Or was it? Could have been.
Boże, ile mam tu zdjęć zrobić? O,
Good eyes, Don. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe.
to będzie strzelać.
do I have to do this?
Don, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to...
LOL!
Great shot, Don!
Ale go trafiło. Ten jaki straszny jest.
I'm proud of you, Don. Always remember that, okay?
Ej lol, ja nie mogę chodzić. Ja pokczam. Nie ma. Ja.
Sorry, Don. Just gotta reset the timer.
Ty. Timer. Dobra, na faście.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so...
normal, Don. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Dobra.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
Ja pierdzie. To nieźle. Gol. Kawałek ona zginie.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Jest. Stawki.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet
Najpierw zobaczymy to.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Grzesio! Wrócił, popczam. O nie!
I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
O co tu chodzi? Aha. No, mogę będę żabą.
Bartend over, Gregory. It's time to. Hold on, sweetie.
Tak, pokczam, dłuższa kąpiel.
Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like.
A, najfajniejszy rozdział to wszystko. Fajnie się skaczesz tam.
He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw. It sure made him happy.
LOL! Dobra, to jest najlepszy rozdział ze wszystkich.
I know how silly it sounds. But I worried about a baby being too happy.
LOL, piana będzie robiona.
But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
Nie.
Did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Boże. Co mam robić? Mamy wodę? Haha! Beka z ciebie.
He saw.
Mamo. O nie, on się utopi?
Hey, there's so much I don't understand. About Gregory. About everything.
O jest.
But I know what happened wasn't your fault.
Mamy.
I'm sure he's happy.
Ha, nie, jednak nie wypływamy. Lecimy.
And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Who is your dad? Dobra, wiemy jak on padł. Nie było to zbyt fajne. Ale jeszcze mamy tu jak.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father
Który
never
zawsze
understood
mówił, że
this
małżeństwo to
was
zły
very
pomysł.
hard. Before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
A co mam tu robić?
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
Dobra, ten rozdział jest jeszcze lepszy od żaby.
I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now
remember.
pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to
Come
come
here.
But
Chodźcie,
Gus
synu, chodź
declined,
tu.
and as a sign held up his middle finger.
On jest środkowy fan. Dobra. Już to jest kaneki. Mały. A nie, w sumie.
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Dobra, my sobie dalej puszczamy. O.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
Dawali się namiot, co go ojciec. Dobra, ale fajny krzew.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry
Bóg
power.
pełny fół.
But all my father said to this was, make the music louder.
Chciałbym.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam,
I tak zginął?
until we found you.
Dobra, to nieźle zginął.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
O lol, ściana spina.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
O nie, jakaś bib.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Nie będzie historii żadnej. Dobra.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English.
A
Lewis was
nauczycielka.
born a year later.
Jesteśmy już nawet wysoko.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
O, to jest klasa. Jego. Lol, dobra, uczymy się angielskiego. Great job. Awesome.
But it didn't last.
Lol.
The beginning of the
Ela,
year
bro.
was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Zamek.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Jak się tam dostał? Mam ślady jakieś.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
Lol. Ja też chcę taką windę w pokoju.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
O, ale fajne. To tyle? Nie było jak zginął? A, bo on chyba odszedł.
Disappeared.
Odszedł. Co nam brakuje? Lewisa. Eddie.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Lol, ale ona dziwnie chodzi. Chciałem sprawdzić, tylko można zrobić. Nie jak jest przy minusowych to. Ale odkryć. Dobra.
Mom definitely blamed
Lol.
Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Ale teraz trendy. Chcemy zobaczyć.
Everyone was trying to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
Lol, ale kozacki. Tam wejść.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dobra, chcę taki pokój. Takie PlayStation 1.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek
Jego
treatment for
uzależnienie.
substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
O, ryby. I se rękę urąbię.
But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
Dobra, to będzie moja praca w przyszłości.
His mind began to
Co mam zrobić? A? Co mam zrobić? Abra! Nie, Abra się poszedł. Rękę sobie odetnij? No nie mogę. A dzikiem. No nie mogę podłożyć tam łapy. Do góry też tu nie mogę.
wander.
A. Co zrobiłem? Aha, dobra, czaję.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about.
Lol, ale to jest fajnie zrobione.
Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head.
A to jest
He took
fajne.
it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Że jedną ręką se robię rybki, a drugą labirynt.
But he found something more.
Teraz 4.
I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss.
Zagram Fortnite'a? No zobaczę. Nie obiecuję, ale może...
But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Ktoś poznał pieska.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Lewis.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians.
Diamentowych bloków. Też były troniscy do szkoły, a co do... Wszyscy idą spać.
and songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished.
Ja nie idę, bo dziś o 5 czerwony księżyc jest? Lol, dobra, to siedzimy tu do 5.
He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Lol, ale to jest kozackie.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis.
Że wpadnę w jakąś...
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
Ona go prosi, że poszedł do domu, to na pokczą. Lol.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for
Tęczy węży.
sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her
Muzycznej gitary.
electric sitar.
A nie, co tam było? Nie, to nie była gitara. Lecelo, szoter. Dobranoc, to jest wszystko.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Dobra, ale to kozackie.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
Jakie to jest kozackie! O co chodzi w tej grze? Jesteśmy dziewczynką, która przychodzi do starego domu i poznaje, jak jej rodzina zginęła. To jest opowieść jej brata.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon. but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Ja chciałem bardziej tą bajkę. Bucia są same nudy.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Lol.
The palace would be packed with his companions.
Dobra, to jest chyba najfajniejszy etap, jaki był.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Lutnie w głowę.
His queen waited, holding his crown.
O nie! Koronę! Właśnie, będzie ubierać koronę i wtedy włoży głowę w to coś. Widzicie to? Co jest nad tą?
I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Nieźle się bawi. Fajnie, fajnie. Dobra.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Kto został? Don, Eddie. Don i Eddie chyba.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
Oh, no.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
Akurat. Ciekawe jak ta nasza bohater.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
No, aha. A kłóca, ta? Teraz ona swoją historię.
last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Czemu odszedłem z Emperor? Emperor już się rozpadło.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Hola. Nie, raczej.
Thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning, okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That
Dobra.
night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
No ta gra jest kozacka. Za darmo jest na Epic Gamesie.
Thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
Lol.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
Nie, gdzie są...
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me.
Huh.
Or maybe I came back to them.
Dobra, bijamy to. Że czemu...
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine!
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot.
Lol.
We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you.
Lol, prezentem dla mnie.
But now I hope you'll never see it.
A, przecież.
I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins.
A to
I'm
jest
sorry I won't be
dziecko.
here to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Oj, to byśmy... Tą dziewczynką, która tu umarła, to jest jej dziecko. Zginęła... Dobra. To już byłoby na tyle. Pa, pa. To jest godzina. Jezus. 15. Teraz może Fortnite. Im do sklepu. Ten na zdjęciu jakby. Oła. Lecimy do końca te napisy. Napisy są fajne. Akurat tutaj. Giera historia od nowa. Dobra. To było bardzo smutne. Fortnite z widzami, weź. Ja idę płakać w łóżku. A nie jakiś Fortnite z widzami. Dobra, to już byłby na tyle. Mam nadzieję, że wam się podobało. Czy dla serdecznie mają pa.